This single cupcake was supposed to be my only birthday celebration. Instead, it became a witness to the moment my boss destroyed my career. What she didn't know was that she had just fired her largest shareholder. My name is Leo. For 2 years, I worked as a junior analyst at Sterling Innovations. I was the quiet guy who came in early, stayed late, and never made a fuss. I did it all for one reason: my father. He had been a co-founder of this company, but after his death, his partner, Chloe's father, bought out his shares for pennies on the dollar. My dad's legacy was erased. So I got a job here, working from the bottom up. My plan was simple: learn the business, prove my worth, and one day, buy back what was stolen from my family. Chloe, the new CEO, had no idea who I was. To her, I was just another nameless employee. I kept my head down. I took on the projects no one else wanted. I even helped Chloe prepare for the quarterly earnings call that made her look like a genius to the board. I thought if I worked hard enough, she would see my value. I was wrong. This morning, on my 25th birthday, she called me into her office. Chloe said, "Leo, this report you prepared has a calculation error. A minor one, but an error nonetheless. In this company, we don't tolerate mistakes. We eliminate them." She slid a termination letter across the desk. My heart sank. "Chloe, today is my birthday." I said it quietly, hoping for a shred of empathy. She just smirked. Chloe said, "Then consider this a gift. A chance to find a career you're actually suited for. Now please leave." As I packed my small box of belongings, I could hear her on the phone, laughing with someone from the board. I was nothing. Just a mistake to be eliminated? What Chloe didn't know was that for the past 2 years, I wasn't just working. I was saving every penny. And I wasn't just saving my paychecks. I was also using a small inheritance my father had left me, an inheritance Chloe and her father knew nothing about. And here's where it gets really interesting. While Chloe was busy building her public image, I was quietly buying up Sterling Innovation stock on the open market, piece by piece, share by share. Most people thought the company's shares were too spread out for any single person to gain control. They underestimated me. They always had. This morning, just before Chloe fired me, a final transaction had cleared. I now owned 40% of the company. I was the single largest shareholder, and Chloe had just fired me on my birthday. I didn't storm back into her office. Revenge is a dish best served cold. Instead, I made a single phone call. "My name is Leo Vance. My father was David Vance, and as the company's new majority shareholder, I am exercising my right to call an emergency board meeting." Effective immediately, the news sent a shockwave through the company. An emergency meeting was scheduled for 3 p.m. that same day. Chloe was completely blindsided. She scrambled, trying to figure out who this mysterious Leo Vance was. She had no idea the person who now controlled her fate was the same one she had just thrown out like trash. At 3 p.m., I walked back into the Sterling Innovations building. The receptionist who had watched me leave with my box just hours earlier now looked at me with wide-eyed confusion. I didn't stop. I walked straight to the executive boardroom. When Chloe saw me, her face went pale. The arrogant smirk was gone, replaced by pure, unfiltered disbelief. Whispering, "This is the moment," she knew she was finished. A board member said, "Mr. Vance, you're him?" "I am." I looked directly at Chloe. Her composure was gone. Her hands were shaking. Chloe said, "This is impossible. You were a junior analyst. I just fired you." I gave her a calm, cold smile. "You did, for a minor calculation error. On my birthday." A murmur went through the room. I addressed the board. For 2 years, I have watched this company from the inside. I have seen talent ignored and loyalty punished. I have seen a culture of fear replace the culture of innovation my father helped build. I then looked back at Chloe, and I have seen a CEO who values her ego more than her employees. A leader who would fire a dedicated worker on his birthday over a typo. The board was silent, horrified. I didn't need to raise my voice. The facts spoke for themselves. As the majority shareholder, I am calling for an immediate vote of no confidence in our current CEO, Chloe Sterling. It wasn't even a contest. One by one, the board members raised their hands. It was unanimous. I then made my second motion. I propose an interim CEO be appointed while we search for a permanent replacement. Someone who understands this company from the ground up. I looked around the room. I nominate myself. Again, the vote was unanimous. Chloe was asked to clear out her office by the end of the day. The same fate she had given me returned to her. As security escorted her out, she walked past my old desk. On it, my small box of belongings was gone. In its place was a single perfect birthday cake sent up by my old team, with a note that said, "Welcome back, boss." She thought she was eliminating a mistake, but she was really just clearing the way for karma. She had no idea that the quietest person in the room often holds the most power. My first act as CEO wasn't to fire anyone. It was to implement a new company policy. On your birthday, you get a paid day off and a bonus. Because a company's greatest asset isn't its stock price. It's the people who show up every day. Chloe learned that lesson the hard way. I learned it by watching my father. And as I looked out from the office that should have been his, I made a promise to honor his legacy, not with revenge, but with respect. Because in the end, that's the only currency that truly matters.